Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Zipporah Gatling. Welcome to Vision Oversight. Today, I am interviewing my big brother. His name is Abe Gatling. He is one of three, but I call him AJ. He likes to be called Abe, but he'll be called AJ today. Don't y'all call him AJ. That's a family name, and I will trip you. Yay! Say hi, Bone.
Yo, thank you for having me on again. Am I allowed to talk about how the first time we had the recording got janked up because my computer sucks meat?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a good conversation.
It was,
though.
and
like it was a,
they'll never hear
a dope conversation.
We solved a bunch of shit, like
oh yeah,
global warming, anti-Semitism,
world hunger.
It was crazy.
Racism.
Yeah, it was a wrap. We wrapped it all up. You'll never hear it. Sad. Because of my janky ass Acer. Oops.
If it makes you feel better, this laptop's not even mine.
Sorry.
So we're all in this together. Oh man. So I guess we'll recant whatever. Not like my ADHD will allow me to remember much of our conversation from yesterday, but yeah. So I know yesterday we spoke about the podcast, your podcast, not my podcast, Crybaby, and if you can, well, one, tell the people about yourself, because like I know you, but humans do not.
Oh.
And I feel like they should at least have a chance to know who you are.
Okay.
You could start at birth if you would like.
Nah, we'll just start with today. I'm a
That's fair.
Yeah, like my sister said, my name is Abe Gatling. Fam calls me AJ. I'm a comedian. I tell jokes. I do host a podcast called the Crybaby Podcast, where I talk to other Black folks about a time that they've cried, and hopefully it leads to some insightful conversations around vulnerability, around masculinity, Black family structures, Black communities, Black trauma, pain, but also growth, healing, and hopefully it's funny. Yeah, I started that project in like 2018 with a comic buddy of mine, Dekunle. It's just me now. And I don't know. I think it's okay. So whoever's listening to it, you can also listen to that after you listen to all of my sister's content first. Or you don't have to. I'm not your dad. You can do what you can do literally whatever you want. But it's out there. Is that good enough? Is that good? Is that solid? Solid plug of myself?
So. Yeah. Where I guess since we're plugging, tell them all the social things.
Just Instagram, Abe Gatling, Abe.Gatling. TikTok is probably the same thing, I think. But again, no incentive to visit either of those two things. I promise you. If you do, great. If you don't, I'm bad at selling myself. So, live your life. But thank you for having me on, Zip. I appreciate it. Again, thank you for having me on again.
Right. For the second time this week. In 2 days, in a 24-hour period almost. So yeah, that's my brother. And all his socials. I am good at selling other people and selling things. So
she is she is the slave auctioneer of our family.
Oh, well, that's horrible.
Oops.
I'm the lightest
she
too.
Be selling.
Like immediate family.
She be selling people.
It's giving house nigga. But yeah, no. Like go look at my brother's content. He's actually funny. Because there are plenty of people who are not, and I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. There are people who are not funny and who try to be funny. And I don't smile or laugh. I kind of just look at them and then like scroll to the next video. But no, he's actually funny and he's actually a comedian, and he does this. This is what he does. So yeah, please go support my brother. Um, I think you'll be delighted to hear what you hear and find what you see. Um, so yeah, cool beans. Plug, you're sold. Great, great, great. Gavel. Anyway, so Crybaby podcast. Right. I've watched like episode 1. Do Better, Zipporah. We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about like what, not the epitus, but the beginnings, the genesis of the Crybaby podcast, what like the original intention was, and like what it is now?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Originally, it was like I said. I think Takula and I started recording in 2017, and then we had like 4 or 5 guests on, and then we stopped just because we got lazy, busy with other things. But the original idea um, stemmed from a show in New York that we ran called Crybaby, um, and it was going well. And we thought, like, how do we keep building momentum? How do we keep generating buzz around us? And Dekunle suggested that we do a podcast, and the original idea was to just kind of talk about current events and culture and whatever other garbage. And I thought, like, that's boring, and people have done that countless times over. And if I'm going to record a podcast, if I'm going to be so arrogant as to talk and expect people to listen to me just talk and say ideas, I'm already doing stand up, which is terrible. And so if I'm going to have people listen to me talk for an extended period of time, I would like to talk about something that hasn't been talked about before, something like at least interesting, or something more inherently rich in ideas, or something that hasn't been talked about much. And so I came up with the idea of talking about the time people have cried, just because that's just a more emotionally vulnerable place than what like the Kardashians are up to. Um, and I think it would be a good place to live in for an hour. And I think that kind of lent itself to where I was at in my life at the time, just like a very emotionally sensitive spot. I mean, I don't know. I've always been a little sensitive boy. And so I think one of the few things I am good at is talking about emotions, talking about the expression of those emotions, where certain like behaviors come from, where, you know, certain coping mechanisms, parenting stuff, like whatever. And so I thought this could be an interesting place to to center a podcast around, and we did. And then we did that for a little bit. Stuff got busy. We stopped, as all podcasts should. Everyone except this one, and um, and then the pandemic happened, and then close to the tail end, I thought like I was in another spot where it's like I really feel like doing this again, and so I started up again, but just me. And yeah, same same ethos. I don't know how many more episodes I'm gonna do because I'm tired, and I don't know if I have the same uh, desire to do it, and I'm not gonna keep doing something that like my heart's not in. Which, yeah, and I'm trying to like be more attentive to that and listen to that, in more things that I do. Where it's like, what am I really feeling? Like, how am I really feeling about like this entire process? And am I gonna keep doing it even though my heart's not in it for some like imagined benefit down the road, if it's not like actively benefiting me, while like me, like my how I feel, and like my sense of like equilibrium while I do it. um and so it's kind of reaching there. So if by the time this comes out I stop putting out episodes, you can listen to the episodes that are out. I like them. um and I think there's some good stuff that can resonate with people. we talk a lot about parents, and parents are a complicated subject to talk about, and I think hearing those conversations can maybe inform or people about their situation, or see themselves in the conversations we have, and that could be helpful or not. Um, but it is funny folks talking about uh, emotional stuff, which I think is way more interesting than not funny folks talking about not emotional stuff, which is most things. Um, so yeah, but what's up, bud? Oh yeah,
He lives.
look at this guy. Anyway, um, so that's the pod. That's one thing I'm working on, and then the other thing is just jokes. So, but that's where it came from. That's what birthed it, and yeah, yeah, it's been a thing.
So I know trying to like formulate my question while allowing you space to finish up. But so I know like personally, of course, because I've been there most of your life
Mm-hmm.
around anyway. Um your and correct me if I'm wrong, but your bachelor's degree is in psychology, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, with a concentration
Do
in
you
childhood psychopathology. What up?
hee do you think that like informs the conversation in Crybaby around like parents and upbringing and stuff, or is that just a natural path that those conversations typically take?
Um, it usually is the natural path. I don't want to like shoehorn like my useless degree
Mm-hmm.
into conversation. That's one of the
Right.
least cool ways of talking to a person. And so, but I do think like maybe less of my degree and more like what got me to pursue that initially is what like informs a lot of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wanted to be, before I became a comedian, I wanted to be a child psychologist, um, because I was in and out of therapy for I've been in and out of therapy for most of my life, like starting at 9. And so, and I really do think those people at various junctures have saved my life. And so I wanted to do that for other people. But then I went to college and I became surrounded by other people in psychology, and I was like, these people suck. Um, I was like, I don't want to be associated with these people at all. Like these dudes are trash. And so, because other psychology majors were lame, my dream died, and I wanted to do comedy instead. Um, and so yeah, but um, I do say that like the reason I think the tools I learned partially from being in therapy a lot and just from who I am as a person, I tend to be observant, tend to be a little bit like emotionally aware, checking in on myself and kind of surveying stuff going on around me. I think that's kind of just a thing I have. And so I think the person I am kind of led me to that rather than like the person at one point I wanted to become. I think that informs it more.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, sure, learning about attachment styles, like who cares? Like who cares? They are important, blah blah blah. But everybody, it's like it's pop culture now. It's those things are like buzzwords. Everybody can be a psychologist on TikTok. So I don't really put a lot of value in like the degree. I don't think there is inherent value in that degree. I think I've learned more about how humans interact with each other and how uh, people develop from just watching people than I had from any
Right.
kind of degree. But it's there. I got it. Can't take it away from me. Even though, oh, I wish you could. But uh, so yeah, that's it's more of just who I be rather than like what Vassar College wrote on a piece of paper.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's help. I mean, because like in our family, you are the out of the three of us, you are the most level-headed and emotionally aware. Um, Sister and I are not. We're not there yet, so working on
Yeah,
it. But we're not. You've always kind of been the not the benchmark, but just like there's overwhelmed and underwhelmed. You've always just kind of been like
yeah,
whelmed. Uh, Jarius is overwhelmed. I'm underwhelmed. So yeah, you've kind of always just been like steady. So yeah, we trust you with that for sure, for certain. But I don't know, man. I think there's a benefit. I mean, you said it. There's definitely a benefit from like the knowledge. Um, but I think with like a lot of things, the application is what like proves the knowledge.
mm-hmm.
Like you have a hypothesis and then you do an experiment and then it's like this hypothesis is valid and can be proven in X amount of circumstances. Or this is trash and everybody should throw this out and it's crap and no. Um, so I don't know, man. I think like what you have learned and who you have been um have just kind of like meshed really well together to create this more emotionally aware human who has like these tools that have benefited him. And I wish I knew about like attachment styles earlier. Like I wish that was something I covered in college because maybe I wouldn't be with half the niggas I was with. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like maybe I would understand um, why I get anxious when I feel like somebody isn't reciprocating affection. 22-year-old Zipporah really could have used that information.
Yeah.
Um, we're cognizant now, but like, as a youth or a youther, um, it would have been helpful for sure. But I think I don't know. I feel like most degrees are useless, but including mine for certain. But I don't know. I feel like the degree that you got kind of like lended itself positively, or at least the knowledge you got from having the degree or taking classes like lended itself positively to just like your life experience.
Well,
I don't know.
that makes one of us. I do think that um, I don't know. I would try not to beat up on yourself too much to um, be a little kinder to yourself in that like, sure you didn't know, but like knowing something doesn't mean that you then have the ability to enact that knowledge with 100% accuracy 100% of the time. If that were the
Yeah,
case, people would be life would be a lot better for a lot of people. Um,
I'd be
yeah,
rich.
the knowledge of something and the application of that knowledge, there can be a big old gap between the two. Um, and I'll say for myself, like, yeah, sure, I knew stuff, but like, there's a difference between knowing something and then internalizing it and believing it and enacting it in the right way.
Right.
A lot of, I was just thinking about how like I went to college, but I am so dumb. Like, I have a degree, but I am so stupid. I don't know how anything works. I don't know how anything works. I'm talking to you on a microphone. I don't know how that shit works. I don't know how
It's stop.
anything that I'm using works. And I went to college. I'm smart. I'm a smart man. I went to a good college. I don't know how anything works,
You did. You did go to a great college, actually.
but I'm dumb as hell. So to walk around with this idea that because of blah blah blah, like I don't know. I think uh, one is to say I don't know a lot, and two is to say that like even if I did learn about how this microphone works, like I couldn't reproduce that knowledge the same way someone like I couldn't make this if I read a thing about
Right.
like, oh, this is how blah blah blah. It's like, make it. I can't. So
No.
there's always a gap
Yeah.
between knowing something and applying that knowledge. And so I would say that, like, you know, don't there's always a gap unless you're, a genius at that specific thing, and that those are so
Hmm.
few and far between. And so I would say, yeah, try to be a little kinder to yourself, but also, like, um, it's good that you know now rather than like
Yeah.
55 or whatever. So you should be thankful for that also.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man. Yeah. You're probably using a condenser microphone, by the way.
maybe. Mm.
um, what was I gonna? Goodness gracious, what was I gonna say? Oh, oh Lord, I don't remember. I don't recall. Oh, ADHD. So I watched. Oh, we're neurodiverse
Mm-hmm.
people. So I watched a video. There's this guy that looks like a well kept version of Joe Rogan. Like he has all his hair and he has a really nice beard and he's like really buff. This
Oh,
white guy.
Andrew
Um,
Huberman.
yes, see, I knew that was a good description. But yes, Andrew Huberman. And he was talking about ADHD and how there's sorry, Tank just disrespected me and I didn't appreciate it. There's a disconnect for people with ADHD or executive dysfunction where they can know something, but it's extremely difficult for them to execute for whatever reason. The neural pathway that's supposed to be there is either it's like underdeveloped or it doesn't work as well as the
Mm-hmm.
others. Um, and when you said that, that just like brought to my recollection. I was like, oh yeah, ha, that's a thing. Because like I know a lot. I collect information often, but there are often times where like I know this. Like why can't I do it? And I mean I attribute that to being human. And then there's also the other having ADHD or being neurodivergent that kind of like knocks you down a
Yeah,
peg. And it's like I'm human and
yeah, it's very frustrating.
um yeah. Yeah, man.
It's
Because it's like you know it.
Yeah, or like you can, in your mind's eye, you can like see the whole thing, or like you can visualize like every step, and then when you start to engage, you just something along the way just like falls apart, and then you lose motivation so quickly um, to do that thing. It happens like,
Yeah.
yeah, it happens to me very, very, very often, and then the hurdle becomes not doing the thing, but like getting in a space with being okay that the thing you envisioned isn't going to turn out exactly the way you pictured it in your head. And then like trying to just get it as close as possible and being okay with that. Or at least for me, a lot of the time, where like, at least creatively, a lot of times, like if I can't knock it out and like, if I can't maintain a clear like vision of how I want something to
Mm,
play out, it becomes very, very difficult for me to finish stuff. And it's super frustrating. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's all about closing that gap. And for folks, anybody, with ADD or any kind of, psychological, emotional barrier between, you know, you knowing something or wanting to create or achieve something, like any barrier to that can be super frustrating. And I don't really have any good advice because I'm not a, I don't, I don't think I'm a guru in any sense. If I was, I wouldn't be asking a guy for $100 to pay me back. Um, but I do acknowledge that, yeah, that that block is super frustrating, and if you can acknowledge that is frustrating, and also be kind to yourself, that's really all I would recommend you do, is just to continue to be kind to yourself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Crap is hard. It's really it's hard. I think the whole kindness aspect, because our I mean our shameless plug to mom, but she's like really high achieving human being,
Mm,
and I know growing up she expected that from us. She expected excellence, and thank you. And when that is like your blueprint for, I guess, like existing, like you expect excellence from yourself or whatever. Um, if you're not like taught to extend yourself grace, you can beat yourself up a lot for not being able to
mm-hmm,
achieve. And that's something, I don't know if you relate to this, but that's something that like I have been working on, um, because I would oftentimes, um, so let me back up. So I had a therapy appointment. Gay therapy, better help, sponsor your girl. Because I use y'all and y'all expensive.
yeah.
Anyway, um, y'all cost me money and I ain't got it. So anyway, so I was talking to my therapist, and um I was talking to her about like my performance anxiety, and when I get in auditions, it's really difficult, and da da da. And perfectionism, things of that nature, and how I was expected to perform. I was expected to perform well or perfectly from a relative like 9, 7 is a relatively young age. It was expected of me, not just by mom, but like by my agent and manager. And she was like, she's like, that's a huge hit to your she's like, that's a huge hit to your self-esteem. And I was like, oh shoot. She's like, huh, like you're people pleasing because you want people to like acknowledge you, and that you're good or whatever the case may be. I was like, oh crap. And then I started thinking about like my life and especially like my adolescent to adult life, and a lot of the things I've accomplished were because um, my inner child wanted people to see that I was good or like worth
Mm,
something. Um, and I've one been evaluating like, am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing this because I want people to see that I'm worth something?
mm-hmm,
And then extending grace to myself because I'm recanting instances where like I've accomplished this wonderful thing, and it's like I didn't accomplish it because, or I didn't do it because I wanted to do it because this is I'm striving for excellence. I did it because I wanted to feel loved by my community. um and like extending grace to myself when like I'm doing something or thinking of doing something or about to do something, or like plotting whatever. And like, Zipporah, are you doing this because you want to do it, or are you doing this because you want them to be proud of you, and you want them to love you, and you want them to speak well of you? And if you are doing it because of that, let's take a step back and like, it's okay if you are. You love you. You're good. It's okay. And like when I squander the day away, um, just like I'd usually like beat myself up, like, hey, do better.
mm-hmm,
But now I've kind of been like, okay, Zipporah, well, what you did didn't work, and that's okay. Hopefully you'll have another day. Use whatever time you have left to, do what you can, and like let's try to do something that works. Um, but that's like I feel like that's a skill that I wish I would have learned sooner. And I feel like that's a skill that I wish, like our parents would have taught us. Um, oh, look, we're on the topic of parenthood, and parenting. Haha.
yeah.
But yeah, I wish that was a skill that like our parents would have taught us. But seeing like who specifically our mother is, um, she's extreme. That's who she is. She's extremely high achieving. She's go getting. She's always moving. She's always accomplishing. And that was kind of like, for me, I know that was like the blueprint to whatever, to existing as an adult in this world is to accomplish and achieve and to push. And then I'd see her like beat herself up, like be hard on herself to push herself further. And I guess I thought that was, and same thing with dad, actually. I think, I guess I thought that was what works. And then figuring out, coupled with like me wanting to be seen and loved and seen in a positive light, um, coupling that, it's like, nah, this doesn't work. This just makes me feel like crap. And I need to be kinder to myself so that I can be productive. I don't know if you empathize with that at all or find any connection or whatever, but that's
Well,
my spiel.
yeah, absolutely. Like it would be weird if I didn't identify with any of that. That would be way weirder. But I mean, I
It would.
do I do identify with a lot of that. Where like until very, very, very recently, and I still struggle with this. Like, it's a big, it's a big hurdle in my life. It has been a big hurdle. I think it's probably one of the main personal struggles that I deal with is being uh, more self-centered and not
Mm-hmm.
in the way of like not thinking about people, but when I make decisions, thinking about prioritizing like what I want and what I feel. I think because of because of our situation, I think each of us learned how to deal with that and cope with that in our own ways. And that led to maybe different permutations of kind of the same thing, which is like, how do I feel liked? How do I feel loved when I don't feel that? And when you develop those strategies as a kid, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, there's no, no one, there's
No.
no like, there's no child has like a mature understanding of like their environment and how they exist within that environment and how they establish and develop, you know, uh, a personality in relation to that environment because that's the only way. Um, on a pod, I recorded a podcast with Yadoye Travis, who's a great comic, blah blah blah, and we were talking about how like ultimately you develop your personality in relation to other things. Like nothing happens; it doesn't happen in a vacuum. So either if you see mom as like this high achieving person, and you see dad as like this person, this workaholic, and you're like, oh, that's if I emulate this behavior, then I will feel valued and loved. Whereas I looked at that behavior and I was like, this doesn't work for these people. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to do the opposite, but I still wanted to feel value and loved. So what I did was just took myself out of the equation, um, and was just like, all right, what does the situation call for? Like, what does the situation need me to be? And I'll be that. And that just takes what I want, what I feel out of the equation entirely. And so what I've had to do and what I've struggled to do and like still struggle to do. And so I hope anyone listening to this, like if you feel this way, just like making the effort to like work myself back into the equation um, of making decisions. Where so to a certain degree, it's like I said, a different permutation of that same core feeling of wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, not wanting to be a burden on people,
Yeah.
not wanting to like add to the chaos. So I was just like, it was interesting that you're like, I always seemed like even, and I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that is because like I didn't want to, I didn't want to project that I needed anything because that would just add strain
Yeah. To
to
the
the
whole
situation,
situation.
which is like a crazy thing for a child to observe, and then in turn, like it's a bananas thing for a
Yeah.
child to like
Yeah.
see, like, oh, this is what my environment is, to understand, like, it's like, yeah, it's it's like a horse knowing math, where it's like it's crazy that this horse knows math, but they don't understand the implications of this at all. Um,
Right.
so it's like, ooh, impressive, but also really sad. And so my effort now is really like working working myself back into the picture. So I do understand um, the need and how we develop like harmful coping mechanisms to survive this shit,
Yeah.
and now it's like a working progress of like, I mean, same thing with you, where you're just like, what do I want? Is this decision best for me? And
Right.
um, not working or existing to satisfy this kind of like amorphous um, entity that various people have occupied throughout your life. Whether it's your
Right.
parents or it's someone in your, your agent or your boyfriend or your friends or your teachers or whatever. Um, so, yes, I feel you.
I appreciate being
Yeah,
felt. Um, yeah. Shameless plug. I mean, it's not like I was a perfect child either. Like
but that's like,
there's so many
yeah, but that's
nuances
like
to that
the, but
equation.
that's like the, like nobody is
No,
like, I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, you were like saliently bad, but I was like sneakily bad.
this is
So
true.
don't.
We would get in trouble together, but I would like mine was so egregiously
Mhm.
obvious that like you do stuff
Yeah,
and I do stuff, but mine is like an explosion. Yours is like I don't know,
yeah, like a plague or
an
something.
implosion of
Uh,
sorts. Yeah,
um,
silent killer
but
kind of
also, yeah,
situation.
I mean, like I struggled with, um, you know, like ways to cope with that, with my depression and untreated other
Right,
stuff in like really harmful
right,
ways, and trying to, um, yeah, like it's a lot of silent, like internal, like I did a lot of internal damage where,
mm-hmm.
um, and so yeah, and that's born from the same. It's born from the same thing. Like you externalize because you're like, look at me,
Yeah,
value me, and I'm internalizing because I'm like, I'm dying, but no one needs to know.
right.
So wild.
That's why I left. Why I stopped doing musical theater. That's why I left the entertainment industry.
Why?
I left because I saw what it was doing to our family. That
I mean,
and I
that's.
knew that if I would I went it was that coupled with if I knew if I went to LA like my agent wanted me to, I probably would have died around 21.
I mean, yeah, I think that again, like that's a burden that you shouldn't have had to act on or around. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you felt that way. Um,
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah, and like I don't know. Who's to say like what would have happened? There's no, to me, there's no point in dwelling on that.
Right.
But I do. Uh, Hearing that makes me sad, I guess is all I'll say. And I don't know. I mean, who's to say if it was like the right
Yeah.
decision or the wrong decision? It was the decision that you made based on what you knew, and I think that's really all you can do. Is That's
Yeah.
all anybody can really do. But I will say, like, see
Broadway.
ya. Um, uh, yeah, with anything, I think like, um, yeah, any endeavor you pursue, and obviously you're back trying to do it. So, um,
Yeah.
but uh, yeah, doing it with that kind of knowledge uh, of knowledge of self, really, just like, am I
Right.
doing this am I doing this like in a healthy way that's true to me, or am I doing it because of something else that I'm beholden to? And I
Mm,
struggle with that every day. Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, um, I don't know. I guess whoever's listening to this, if you also struggle with that, just it's fine. If you're depressed, just don't
Everything.
be. It's so easy. Have you tried being happy?
Uh,
It's like
oh
super
my
easy to
gosh.
do. Um,
It's great. Just sit in a bright room.
I
You'll be
mean,
cool.
seriously,
You'll
like,
be great.
have you tried Pilates? Um, it's
Yoga.
great.
Go for a jog.
Yeah. Do you like ABBA? Have you listened to ABBA? Nothing before 1980, though. They get sad around 1980. So everything before the Visitors would make you, yeah. If you haven't done that, then I don't know. Do the work and then get back to me.
Let us know how it goes.
I mean, I know how it's going
There
to go.
was
You
a
will feel way better. Depression is a construct, and you just need a little ABBA in your life.
It's all in your
You should
head.
listen to ABBA while
Um,
doing Peloton.
Doing Pilates.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, Totally kind of related, but not really. There's a apparently on Black Twitter, the millennial generation is discovering yacht rock.
Mm,
Um, Basically the crap that dad like grew us up on,
really?
and yeah, like all those white people singing like semi rock music that kind of also sounded like disco, but not really.
Yeah,
Um,
like what, like Steely Dan and Chicago
no,
and
yes,
okay.
them folks. And they're like, "This my jam." I'm like, y'all's is late. Where was y'all? But not everybody grew up in a guitar case, literally. So I just thought that was so interesting. Um, and I posted on my story and tagged Dad, and he responded. Um, but I just thought that was so interesting. I'm like, oh wow, y'all have been missing out on this beautiful array of white men singing these
Yeah, it's
songs,
just I mean and
and white
yeah, I mean
women.
that music is only white people can make that kind of carefree music.
Yeah,
That comes from a
it's
yeah, that
it's good
comes from a
stuff.
place of little to no institutional baggage. Like you can't
It's called yacht
there's
rock.
no yeah, it's so easygoing. It's like the Eagles take it easy is like there's no like that couldn't have come from a nigga in
No,
Detroit.
during the 70s.
Do you know
Oh
what I
God,
mean?
no,
So I guess
no,
in
no,
some
no, no,
ways
no.
I'm thankful. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah, man.
yeah, yeah, it's all this stuff is hard. Not I'm not gonna get too
Yeah,
existential, but this is hard, and it's almost
yeah.
like it's hard and often enough that it's like, oh, it's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. Um,
No,
yeah, and to expect it to be easy and then it not can be uh, even more difficult. If you anticipate something being difficult, then and acknowledge every day that it's going to be hard, then it's at least grounds your perspective a little bit.
for sure. I was listening to the Bible Project with Tim Mackey and John. I don't know how to say his last name, but they were talking about like Proverbs and Job and like the wisdom literature or whatever. And they're talking about Job, and Job suffers and that whole situation.
Yeah, it's like all he
And then
does,
they that's the whole book, is him
which is
suffering.
wild.
And they bring Jesus into the conversation. And they're like, yeah, no, Jesus expected the worst. And I'm like, he's like, he expected the worst for himself and for everybody else. And I'm like, you know what? If my personal God, expected the worst out of life, but found some way to be like carefree, I'm doing okay. Like I'm doing all right because this crap is it's supposed to be okay. Great, 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 great,
Yeah.
great. And then ADHD is like life on hard mode, and life is already on hard mode. So like really any like neurodiversity or any like disablement or non-abled person,
Nailed it.
it's like yeah. Thank you. Inclusivity, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, like it's like life on hard mode. It's like, oh, you can handle it. No, no. Who told you that this was? Who told you that I
Yeah.
could? Who said that? Who said that? And who do I have to fight? Because no, because no, because I don't appreciate this. But yeah, no. If Jesus expected the worst, yeah, I think we're doing okay. Uh, I think we're doing all right. I know that like in this era part of my life, season, book, however you want to categorize it, I've been like trying to like expect the worst, prepare for the best kind of situation.
Sure.
Um, like trying at least, and like I can't pay my rent this week, but at least I'm here. You know, like it's hard. Like acknowledging that it's hard, acknowledging the emotions that I'm feeling because it's hard, and like really like letting myself feel those, however long that takes. Because I like mourned my voice for like 2 months,
Hmm.
and not being able to like sing and having it be damaged and whatever. I mourned that for like 2 months straight, and not having a job, still mourning that. But I digress. Um, but like allowing myself the room to feel all of that, uh, and then allowing myself like once I felt it all, like okay, we're good. It's out. We're good. Let's like we can keep going, or we can try to keep going. Some days are better than others. Um, but yeah, like I've just kind of like given myself space to be human, and like something that Tahil and I spoke about on her episode and with my therapist, is shout out to Ina, she's cool. Is that like the church doesn't teach us to allow ourselves to feel like the whole human experience
Sure.
and like to feel the emotions, nor does it give us like the tools, often anyway, Western church, whatever, give us the tools to understand how to navigate those and like continue. Um, and like we both were raised for our youthful lives in church. Shout out to Grandma Pastor. But yeah, I don't, and I feel like it should, because there are scriptures that deal with that, and also like you deal with that. Like you're like scripture, take it out of the equation, but like we're people and we deal with those things. But like all we hear is like God is good all the time, and he's gonna turn it around and da 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 da. But like, what about where I am? You know what I mean? Like, what about what I'm feeling? And like, you shouldn't be sad. Praise the Lord. Da, 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 da. I'm like, have you read Psalms, my nigga?
Hmm.
Like Psalms 3 is dark.
Yeah, a lot of Psalms
Psalm
are
3 is a sad.
very sad.
Yeah. So like obvious, I mean, like, he blesses the Lord after he laments, and it's like, Jesus, like, God, where are you? Like, I'm in the wilderness, niggas is trying to kill me. What's up, God? Like, where you at? Um, I don't know, man. And I ascribe to Christianity, you don't. But I don't know, man. Like, what are your thoughts? Because I don't know nothing. What are your thoughts? I
On
don't know, Jack.
on
I guess like giving people space to feel, and then like continuing.
well, I guess yeah, I was gonna say that I think that one, like, everyone keeps going. Like,
Mm,
everybody is like, this idea is like, I just got to keep on going. Like, whether or not you say that sentence, if you are alive, then you're going. And
right.
so I think, however small a victory, like, or even if you view it as a victory, I personally don't. But when which is why when people say like you just got to keep going and things will get better, it's like you're dumb right now. You're being dumb right now because I don't really have a choice. I mean, at
Right.
my darkest and kind of just all the time, I know that I do have a choice, which is something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But uh, it's like I've been to the spot where it's like if things get are this bad for this long, I can be out. And so the decision to not be out is me choosing to keep going. So,
Keep going.
okay.
Yeah.
So, um, and you can view that however, like if um, everybody is doing that, literally everybody is doing that. It's just how you do that. Um, I think that, like you said, you know, I don't, as far as like religion goes, um, like they teach you, or I guess we've been taught, or at least how I understand a lot of my experience with Christianity is, yeah, that there's what gets taught uh, isn't so much centered around like our humanity. A lot of it is centered around the God in us, which doesn't so much center the human in us as much.
Mm.
Um, and that's a big part of that's most of our experience is the human part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's not to say that like it's not some indictment of the God in us. Like even though I don't ascribe to or subscribe really to you know a general like Christian principle, I do think that there's God in us, and that it is unifying and like beautiful to think on that. But there's a whole lot of human in us. That's most of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I do think that at least in our experience, the church didn't really equip us with engaging with the human in us and the human in other people, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, and the fact that Jesus was like acknowledges that a lot of life is suffering, and to acknowledge that life is suffering, but to find the beauty in those things is a very human principle. It's an inherently human principle
Right.
to acknowledge that like the
Right.
human existence is a lot of it is suffering, but despite that, find the beauty um, in broken people, the beauty in what other people determined as like deplorables. To find the beauty in
Mm-hmm.
that and raise them up is such a beautiful like and essentially human thing that
Right.
at least in our experience growing up I didn't see too much of like getting highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was cast all your cares and you should feel better. It's like, oh wait, but what if I
Right.
don't? Well, then you're doing
You're
something
not
wrong.
casting right. Yeah.
How'd
How
you
do you
cast?
cast?
What rod are you using? Are you using the? Are you got to get the super rod? Because if you cast with the old rod that you get at the beginning, all you
It's
just
not
gonna
gonna
get
work.
magic cart, bro. So you
but
gotta
they,
get the super rod.
but they,
When you cast, then you
right.
get yourself like a Godine, maybe a Sea King.
A
Yeah,
Dragonair. Some.
you know. So examine your rod game before you start
At least a
talking
Squirtle.
about casting. Okay, what kind of wand you using? Huh? What's your spell game look? Okay, that's too many. But but so there's there's that
Mm.
idea, which I do think like we have to we and everybody I think on some level has to learn that. But it's yeah, the church wasn't doing us any favors in that regard.
No.
Um,
No.
and yeah, so I do think there's like I said, everybody needs to learn how to um, acknowledge that a lot of the human condition is isn't pleasant, but and navigate feeling that, acknowledging that, accepting that, and then continuing to move forward despite that. Um, and sure, like our church experience didn't explicitly deal with that, but like I said, that doesn't mean that like the evidence doesn't exist within the Bible. I'm not saying that it ain't there
Yeah.
because it very is.
Yes.
Um,
From beginning to
it's
end,
right
quite
there.
literally.
Like Jesus's life is a
Yeah.
very good model about how to move through the world with kindness and love amidst suffering and betrayal, and to see beauty in what everyone else deems as ugly, and to yeah, to serve that, serve others, serve live to like serve living a good life and being in peace with yourself, which is like super hard to do. People get people get hype about like the miracles, but they don't
Right.
talk about the miracle of like acceptance, which
Bro.
is crazy.
Bro.
That's like the biggest miracle. That's the biggest miracle I think that Jesus did.
Like, imagine you knowing since your inception how you, like, you knew how you were going to die, when you were going to die, and who was going to do it.
Or
Like,
yeah,
he
or even
knew.
just I mean,
And
we don't even have to talk about all that stuff. Just like know that you're going to die. Like let's just be like knowing
right.
that you're going to die and still
Right.
and living like such a pristine, warm, loving life that he did is that's the miracle. That's what we're all like three niggas did it in all the history of forever. And like that's the miracle. I
Right.
mean, whatever. But like that's the bigger, I think, like more amorphous magic trick that he did, which is
And like,
you know,
not doing it for you. Like, the amount of selflessness it took to be like, I know I'm gonna die for other people, not for any like of my benefit, you know? It's like, I'm gonna die for y'all because y'all messed up. All right, let's do
yeah,
this, you know? And there was pushback, but like,
that's a crazy like
all right, let's do
that's a
this.
you know
It's wild,
it's
man.
wild and but also like very human. Like this was a
Yeah.
dude filled with God and but lived his human life like the quote unquote right way. I won't even like the
And
right
like,
way.
and super
Yeah,
regular.
but that's like the
He was
magic isn't
super
every
regular.
day. It's not, and
Yeah.
whatever. That's crazy to think about. So,
Yeah, man.
so it's there, but I don't know. That doesn't put butts in seats.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. And I wish, like, I don't know, man. Because, like I told you yesterday, the point of this podcast is like to create community and like make sure people don't think that they're by themselves, as we try to navigate this thing called life. Because life is, like we just said, life is difficult and it's hard. It's easier to suffer in community. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? At least from my experience, it's easier to suffer in a group than it is to suffer by
Or just at
yourself.
least the belief that you have a support system around
Yeah.
you. Like,
Right.
because here's the thing: like, you are alone. Like, there is
Mm-hmm.
no one. Like, I want to be perfectly clear. I 100% believe that every individual is alone in the sense that like there's no one who can experience you other than you. No one can get that
Right.
close. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're alone in your head. It's all you. Um, how you perceive the world, it's you. You are alone. But I do think that like you're not alone in that. Um, and even in like that, if everybody's alone, then kind of no one is. And so,
Right.
and also that like, sure, no one can be youer than you, but also like we're all there's a collective understanding that everyone is experiencing the same thing just on different levels. Um,
Yep.
and having a sense of support, yeah, can make you feel less
Yeah.
lonely because there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. And so you are alone, but hopefully folks can assist in helping you feel less lonely, because
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Yeah, man. So that's what this thing is about, and I think it's important, you know, that we acknowledge that because we both depression, yay, um, we both
I'm good.
struggle tackle.
I'm about to throw on "Take a Chance on Me" on repeat
I don't I
and
don't
do
know why I
"Cat
just
Cow."
imagined you in like a tangerine Adidas sweatsuit. Like the brightest, most obnoxious thing I could think
Hmm.
of was you in a tangerine Adidas
Sure.
sweatsuit, break dancing
Wow.
to
Honestly,
whatever.
if I could do that, I don't think I'd be depressed anymore.
That was the
Wow.
imagery.
Like, I straight up don't think I'd ever experience another second of depression if I could get a tangerine Adidas jumpsuit from
Tangerine.
like the 80s, like Run DMC type, and then I got
Yes.
a big old piece of
Yes.
cardboard and just did backspins until like I couldn't stand up, and then I just slept on the cardboard, exhausted. I woke up. I would be cured. I would be cured.
Cured.
Come on, man.
Depression over. Yeah. Oh, but what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, depression and things. When you said like we have the option to not keep going, I don't know if people who haven't experienced that level of low, hi Tank, um, have he's back, have like get that. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like get that there's even an option, and I think that there needs to be, I think it would be beneficial for there to be space for acknowledgement. Like we hold space for the fact that, like, oh, you decided to wake up another day.
Yeah.
That is important. Like that deserves to be held space for, not, oh, you've been laying in that bed for 3 days. Nigga, I could be laying in a grave.
Yeah.
Which one you want?
Right.
Um like that, honestly, like a lot of the times, for me at least, that was the energy. It's like, oh, well, you haven't done anything. I'm still here. You better be glad I'm still here. Um,
Did
I think
people
that
did
deserves
people
to,
like get on you about that? About like not achieving, or was it like you really?
yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, man. Um, there was a point where, what was it, 2021? Um, when I was at NSU and one of our castmates passed away. Then who passed away in February? Cousin Al. He passed away. And then Godmommy Rosa, she passed away in March. And then my mentor passed away in April. And then another one of our castmates got shot in the back in September. And I I was in bed for 5 days.
Hmm.
Not even my bed. Like I was in John's bed for 5 days straight, and I could not get up. It was, I guess, psychosis or something of that nature. I don't know, but I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't bathe. I didn't use the bathroom. Like John had to carry me to the bathroom. I couldn't. All I could do is lay there and cry. And one of the professors was coming, was coming into Suites, is our residential hall. Hi, Stinky. Was coming into Suites to come get me, like to come physically get me out of
Hmm.
bed. And I wouldn't say it's the same as like, you're not doing enough, because I always did the most to make sure that nobody could say I'm not doing enough.
Right.
But like me being in bed for five,
S-
me being in bed for 5 days was like I had people like, Zipporah, you gotta get up. Zipporah, you gotta. And I'm like, right now I just can't. Like I haven't had space to mourn. Hi, okay, all right, all right. I love you too. Yes, you're fuzzy. Let go. Release me. Um, thank you. But like I haven't had space. In Oh, and then Gahani passed away. The guy who used to do my hair, he passed away in like June, July, or something like that. Like it was back to back to back to back. And I didn't have the space to to even mourn people, um, nonetheless feel, and it kind of just all like fell on me. Um, and it was rough. And John was like, you got to get up. My friends were like, Zipporah, you got to get up. Do you want to eat? I wasn't eating. Like, it was bad. And I know that their intentions were positive. Um, and like the fact that I kept waking up every day, I felt was all that I could
Yeah.
do. And I didn't, in that experience, I didn't really feel like anyone held space for that. It's like, you're waking up, good job, okay. What do you? How can we help? What do you need? It was more so like, you need to get up, you need to move, you need to do this, and it's like well intentioned. Um, and at the moment, like, can we just acknowledge that like I opened my eyes today? Can we just acknowledge that I walked to the bathroom? Can we just acknowledge that I actually went outside? Like, can we acknowledge that? Um, so yeah, man, I think there needs to be more space held for more celebration for like those baby steps, those things that are usually like normal or insignificant, especially with people who suffer with depression or who have whatever mental health issues. Like, that's big. That crap is big, and I don't know, man. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. It's a really hard it's a hard like place to be for both parties because you see someone you love like or someone you care about suffering and
Mm-hmm.
you want to help or you don't want them to suffer and there's like
Right.
a two-pronged reason for that. It's one because you
Yeah.
love them. It's also that you don't it watching them suffer doesn't make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And then I do think that you see someone like suffer for a prolonged period of time and you go like, am I messing up? Like, am I not doing all that I can?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that mean I'm being a bad whatever friend, parent, partner? If I see this
Right.
person suffering for such an extended period of time and they're not getting better, am I doing all that I can to help? And a lot of times when people operate from that space, it's a good, like you said, well intentioned, but a lot of folks don't have that understanding of like, there's not a lot you can do. And so
Yeah.
and a lot of your actions when they come from that place get perceived as more harmful than helpful most times because what the person
Mm-hmm.
needs is that kind of compassion and that kind of like patience and grace that a lot of people can't provide. And that's not their fault. It's just crazy to
Right.
be like when I get really low, I know that I'm a bummer to be around. And what a lot of and unless you communicate it, like people don't know that watching people try to help you and it not working makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
Watching someone try to help and knowing it's not working sucks
Right.
because you know that they're
Yeah.
trying and you want you want it to help. It's not like you're going, "No, I don't want this help." Like you want it. You want it to work and
Yeah.
it doesn't. And
Right.
that makes things
Right.
worse. Um
Yeah.
and so it's a lot of miscommunication around a very very difficult thing, which is being around a person who's not sure they want to be around. Um
Right.
and uh, and it's times like those where it's like even harder to communicate, but it's because it's harder to communicate, it's more necessary than ever, and to expect both parties to act uh, perfectly in that situation is almost asking too much, but
Right.
um, but it is like it's like one of those hard things around because it's really around death, and anything centered around death is not there's no winners, everybody loses.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. everybody.
Except
I
the
was gonna
person
say
who
that.
inherits
No,
money.
I was gonna say like except the person who like wanted it, but that's too sad.
Oh, true, true, true.
But what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
when it's centered when it's centered around, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But you
Aw.
know, when it's centered around stuff like that, it's really really difficult, and it shows you. It kind of forces you to take stock of like who you are and how you how you uh how you love somebody and how you feel about yourself in a
Yeah.
relation to somebody who you can't reach. Um, so it's like it's sucks for the person in that position who needs grace to have grace for the people trying to help.
Right.
Um, but to understand like they're just doing the best they can, just
The
like
best I
I'm trying
can.
to do the
Yeah.
best I can, and I hope that if I can see that, I can see the good in like what they're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
and hope that they can extend that same grace and that same kindness, a la Jesus, that that we could get through this a little easier. But that's hard. That's a
Yeah.
borderline. That's a miracle to do.
Yep.
And so, uh, yeah. So I feel you, and again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, and I've been there,
Yeah.
and so
Oh, and thank
I
you.
think what helped me was knowing like, and I guess I'm lucky in that I was able to communicate that to people where I was like, dude,
Right.
it's great. Like I'm doing y'all a favor. So what I need you to do is just to be patient and fucking listen to me. Like when I say what I need, I mean it. Like you
Right.
have very little control and power in this situation. I need you to accept that and that it's not a reflection on who you are or your ability to take care of me, which is again hard for a lot of people to do. Um, but I guess I'm lucky in that I've built relationships with most people where they've been accepting of that for whatever
Yeah.
reason. But grace goes both sides, and it's hard. It's hard to do. You kind of got to put your
Yeah.
ego aside, and but yeah. So
Yeah, man. All right, man. I think that's a great place to end. I feel like we could probably go on for another hour, but I have to eat, and you know, you should eat too if you haven't already. Food is important. Thanks, thanks,
yeah,
Bone.
yeah.
I am I'm happy, because like I don't know. I didn't know what we'd grow up to be like our adult
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I had no idea what it would be like as a child. I don't think I thought it would be positive
Sure.
as a kid,
Yeah.
because I terrorized you,
I
uh,
mean, whatever, man. Like no child is
eh,
capable of terrorist acts. So let's
harassed.
sure.
I think that's a calmer phrase.
You were
I harassed you.
you were a child.
It was, but it was because I loved you.
Sure.
That's so horrible.
I mean, it's just like
There's like a scientific term for it. I found out the other day. Apparently, um, when a person, it's like I don't know. I'm gonna butcher this, but like when a person feels so much like love for a person and excitement that a human is around, they like express it physically. So like poking or like
like
hitting or like
what's it
biting
called?
or
The
like a
no,
cat.
like the I think it's called like Helga Pataki syndrome. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
kidding, but it's
probably.
not. But that's
That wouldn't be a horrible way to put it.
um
I mean,
yeah, but I get it. I mean, like I don't. Here's the
yeah.
thing. I don't remember a lot of that, so it's okay.
Me
All right. So then, like,
either.
what's even like what
ADHD.
I've lived so much more life past that that there's no need to apologize. But I also understand that,
Yeah,
yeah, sure, our relationship growing
yeah,
up, mostly because of other stuff, was
right.
yeah, was not the
Yeah, it
best.
wasn't. No, but all that to say, I'm like happy. I'm happy where we landed as like adults. Like I genuinely enjoy you,
Yeah.
brother. Yeah, man,
No.
you're cool people.
Yeah, me too.
I enjoy you. Thanks. Thanks, AJ. So yeah, we'll end it there. Thank you for watching Vision Oversight. Oh, I forgot to ask you my question.
What's up?
Um, so question I asked you yesterday. Um, if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you do? And then how close are you to doing that?
Yeah. So if I didn't have to worry about money, I would just do stand up. And yeah, how close am I? I think I'm very close in that I get to do stand up, but I'm also very far in that I have to do a whole bunch of other nonsense to be able to get to do stand up. So the goal is to make that the only thing I do. Um, so yeah, I'm super close, and I'm very lucky that I found the thing that I want to do, and that yeah, very grateful because a lot of folks never find out what they want to do, and they do and they never
Right.
get to pursue it because of other stuff. But also, it's a struggle. It's really hard to make it doing what I'm doing. I talk to comics sometimes and I'll say like I wish I wanted to be like a dentist as much as I wanted to be a stand-up instead. Like
Yeah,
cuz then I would just be this the roadmap to being a dentist
it's clear.
it's way
Yeah,
easier. But if I did anything else I'd uh I'd be killing like a part of myself that I need to protect. So,
right.
um long way of answering, but I'm doing it, but I'm also far from doing it. Um, if that makes sense. Your listeners are
Yeah,
smart, but
I hope so. I hope so. And if not, I hope they get
yeah,
smart. Or I don't know if that sentence
yeah.
was okay.
Book
Uh,
up,
yeah.
idiots. Dumbass
Endorsed,
listenership.
endorsed by Abraham Gatling.
Yeah,
Um,
y'all are dumb as hell. I could smell it.
oh gosh,
Illiterate,
you all are wonderful.
illiterate trash. That's why you're listening to a podcast. Go read a book, dumb nigga.
Bro, AJ. Oh man. All right, so cool. That was my question. You answered it succinctly. And in a way that makes sense. And I know I said this yesterday again, but I am proud of you for doing the work and doing the thing that you
Appreciate
love.
it.
Because we have I know we've seen it up close and center to watch, somebody neglect the thing that they love
Lol. Yeah, it's
to
wild.
to
It's wild.
survive. It, it is a
It
sad
makes me really sad.
existence. Yeah, yeah. But luckily they're doing it now. So that's redeeming. Um that's makes me hopeful. So yeah, but yeah, we've seen it up close and center. So shout out to you for fighting for that for yourself because you definitely deserve it. You deserve to fight for the part of yourself that is probably most genuine to like who you are. So
Thanks.
yeah,
Yay, Zip.
AJ, go AJ, woo AJ! All right, cool beans. Let's
I
wrap
love
this up
you.
because my
Go
stomach's
eat.
growling. I love you too. Okay. Oh, thank you for listening to Vision Oversight podcast. My name is Zipporah Gatling. I had the pleasure of interviewing my big brother Abe Gatling. You can find him on Instagram at just say the thing because I
Abe
forget.
Gatling. It doesn't. It just type Abe. There aren't many
Okay.
of them.
No, no, not at all. A.Gatling on Instagram and TikTok. And then you have a comedy show coming up in
June.
May.
Is this gonna come out? Is this gonna come out?
June.
I have like other shows and stuff, but is this
I mean, it'll be before
okay?
then. So yeah, like end of this
Sure.
month,
I think
probably.
I have some shows in May maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm opening for Donnell Rollins at the Auburn Public Theater, June 14th. Um, and it is a direct work of nepotism.
Oh yeah, we love that.
So, we trying to turn around. We trying to make nepo babies out here. But also, I don't know. It's like I wouldn't have got the opportunity if I wasn't fucking good at what I do. So,
This is true.
yeah. So if you're in the area, I cannot imagine anyone listening to this podcast
Auburn,
there's two people I could think of.
bro.
And we've been to
One and a
their
half.
house. So,
One and a
yeah.
half. A clean one and a half, because he'll be in and out.
So, but other than that, I'll be around. I'll post.
Yeah.
Trying to get better at posting content online, because that's where everything needs to be. And if you like that,
Yeah.
drop a follow, come to a show, and then I can disappoint you in real life. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, Abe Gatling. So thank you for your plugs. Tank wanted to come say bye.
Wow,
He's
I
back.
love that man.
Yeah, he's a good stinky. You are loved. I love you. You're deserving of love. And I will see you next time. Bye,
Bye.
people. Bye.